So last time I talked about how men need to live in a community with others, that we can't try to do everything ourselves, and that trying to do everything ourselves is probably a reflection of some insecure bitch shit that you need to work on. But there are many ways to be in community with others, and I want to highlight something that I experience sometimes in my life that is not only a pet peeve, but also an example of some bitch shit. Okay? What I'm talking about is the non confrontational bitch, the quote unquote peacemaker that's really a bitch in disguise, the quote unquote nice guy. Okay. I'm just going to say it first and unpack it as I go. The dude who doesn't come to me directly with an issue that they have with me, no matter how big or small, but tries to pretend like everything's okay, is a top notch, grade A bitch. Come at me like a man. Okay. Let me share a quick story. I am a fairly confrontational person, at least with men. I am less so with women, but that was because I was a bitch and projected my own uncertainties with regards to how to talk to women and then projected it onto them. Okay. I'm still trying to be less of a bitch in that way. But with men, especially ones that I'm close to, I don't hold back. That often results in a lot of hurt feelings. I know I have friends, good friends, that feel a certain way about me, hurt by something I said, maybe resentful of something I did, and they never said a thing to me. Now, I read body language all the time. I am hypersensitive to that shit. Since I grew up as a pastor's kid, you kind of always had to have your guard up, especially with people that attended my dad's church. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I have friends that feel this way about me, but haven't said anything. I have even welcomed them to be honest with me, said that, just told them straight up, like, I know that you have some issue with me. Just say it with your chest. Come at me. I have no problem hearing it. I'm not going to be dismissive of you. I want to hear what you have to say so we could talk about it and just squash whatever it is, right? But still nothing. Okay. Here's the thing. What happens when they don't confront me directly? I'll tell you exactly what happens. Okay. It plays out more or less in a similar fashion every time. Whatever they felt, it doesn't go away. That anger, resentment, hurt, it just all builds up. This is what I need men to understand. Feelings do not go away because you wish them to go away. Okay? You can try to deny it all you want, try to convince yourself that you're quote unquote over it, but those feelings without fail will linger until you address them. And if you're not going to address it directly, then those feelings just leak out in other ways. So, what do my friends do sometimes? Maybe they don't invite me to something or attend something that matters to me. Maybe they don't reach out to show genuine care when I'm going through a hard time. Maybe they talk shit behind my back. Maybe, and I found this to be quite common among the men that I know, they blow up on you. All that pent up anger explodes over some incident that honestly doesn't call for that kind of explosion because, you know, it's not about that incident, right? There's all this other stuff that's been brewing for a long time because they never actually addressed whatever it is that they were feeling. Every one of these responses, every single one that I just named, right? This is all just some bitch shit. Okay. All of these are ways to avoid the heart of what you're feeling and why. If you have a problem with me, you need to talk to me about it. And through some and not through some intermediary, not through some passive aggressive shit, not through some other person, you need to come to me as a fellow man and say shit to me straight up. Okay? Be a fucking grown man. All right? Don't expect others to fight your battles for you or for karma to come get me. Karma's not going to come get me. No. If I did something to hurt you, if I wronged you, you need to take it up with me so that we can resolve it then and there. Okay? Give me the chance to hear you out. Give me the opportunity to apologize and to rectify the wrong I did to you. It'll honestly help you feel a lot better and you'll actually feel like things are resolved. Don't be a bitch and hide behind shit. Okay? All right. This all leads me to talk about what I really wanted to talk about, which is the stereotypical nice guy. Let's call the nice guy what they really are. It's fake nice. You're not genuinely nice. You're just a bitch that's too scared to engage in direct confrontation. So you hide behind the facade of someone who is nice so that you don't get blowback. You don't seem like the so that you don't seem like the unreasonable or mean one. Okay. You're trying to get people on your side to comfort you, to tell you how wonderful you are, how generous you are, how understanding you are, how nice you are. But what's really happening is that you don't have the balls to say how you really feel. Okay. Now, if you're like this, I don't know exactly why you're this way. Each person goes on their own journey. So you need to figure out for yourself exactly, why it is that you tend to be this way. Maybe you've gotten in, terrible responses when you try to confront somebody directly, then find out, um, you know, that you are just not very good at, addressing these difficult conversations. You know, we've all had those experiences. Like confrontation is not necessarily easy, and doing it well requires skill, it requires training, it requires experience, right? So then find out how to bring up difficult conversations and be better about it. You could do that by seeing a therapist, by practicing with people that are good at the kind of confrontation. Just it's an actual skill set. You could practice it and get better about it, right? I don't have the solution for you specifically. All I know is that avoiding it is going to make you more of a bitch. Okay. And as with all bitchness, you won't grow out of it without doing something differently. Okay. You need to change up the way that you approach these sorts of conflicts. Okay. All right. Does this mean that we need to be confronting each other all the time over everything? No. I think there's a virtue in letting things go, especially if it really isn't that big of a deal. But just make sure that when you say you let it go, you actually let it go. Okay. Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, I let it. I'm over it. I let it go." But then clearly, you're still bothered by it because you talk about it, because you think about it, because it still haunts you in some form or fashion, or it comes up again when there's another confrontation that is very similar to that. Okay. There's a clear way to tell if you actually let it go. You don't think about it. You don't ruminate over it. You don't bring it up. You don't get reminded or triggered by something similar that happens, right? You are genuinely over it. Like it's almost like you completely forgot it even ever happened. If it's something that continuously enters into your mind, then you are not over it and you need to address it. Clearly, it's weighing on you, not me, on you. That's the opposite of letting go. Letting things go feels like a load off your shoulders. You aren't worried about it. You don't think about it. You don't even have it on your radar. You damn near forget. Like I said, you forget that it even happened. If you're not at peace, there's only way to address the problem, and that's head on. Head on. That's it. If you don't, then the problem just gets bigger and bigger until it explodes and has some consequences you're not going to like. Okay? I had to learn this lesson over years of continuously making the same mistake again and again in my marriage and with my parents. Oh God, I blew up on my parents so many times, right? I tried to pretend that everything was okay, tried to convince myself, that it was true, that I had gotten over it, that I'm not upset by something that they tend to do. Okay. Maybe I even told myself to be the bigger man. You need to let it go. This is what a man does. Okay. Except I can't just make my feelings go the way I want, right? And this is just reality of human life, right? You can't just make yourself feel differently by telling yourself, I don't care what cognitive behavioral therapy says, right? Like you can't make yourself feel differently. Okay. Those little things will build up and it'll blow up on you, right? It will just come out in some form or fashion. It doesn't go away until you at least do something to address those feelings. And here's the thing, when it blows up, it damages relationships that you care about in far deeper and more harmful ways than you initially would have thought it would, harm your relationships, right? So look, if you've experienced anything like this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You hold something against somebody, you feel resentment, you feel anger, you feel wronged, you never address it. So what ends up happening? The next time something similar it happens in your brain, it's like, oh, it's just like the last time that you did this shit, right? It all comes up and it all comes up like in exponentially, right? The feelings are even much more intense because it's not just that one time, it's building off of all these other times that you never really addressed those similar feelings, right? Being nice, this is why nice guys piss me off. Okay, being nice isn't doing anyone any favors, okay? All you're doing is unilaterally deciding to prevent the relationship from healing by sharing your feelings. because you're not sharing how you feel, you don't give the other person a chance to address those feelings. You don't allow for the relationship to be healed. There's a fracture in the relationship, and you just let that fracture simmer and grow into something deeper and much more painful. Okay. So you, by not bringing shit up, you end up ultimately hurting that relationship. Okay. You, the quote unquote nice guy, you're doing something fucked up to the relationship. Okay. This nice guy bitch shit is also true when we talk about the nice guy in the dating context. This is where I think I first heard about the quote unquote nice guy, right? I grew up a lot with these types of guys. Okay. These are the guys who've struggled to find a date. And then all their friends talk about how they're such nice guys and that anyone would be lucky to date them, yada, yada, yada. Okay. I think one time I heard somebody describe me this way and I got pissed off, right? And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out exactly what it was. And I think I have a lot more clarity after years of therapy. I think I have a lot more clarity on why the nice guy pisses the fuck out of me. Okay. Some of these nice guys would complain that girls only go for the bad boys, right? Instead of a nice guy. And so they create this whole worldview that in dating, you have to be mean or edgy to be attractive, right? Like that's how you attract girls, okay? Some of them end up being an asshole because they think that this is the way to get girls. But others continue on their path of being the quote unquote nice guy, okay? Okay, let me break down what's actually happening. Okay, so we're gonna unpack the nice guy bullshit and we're gonna expose them for the bitch that they are, okay? When we call a guy a nice guy, what are we really saying? What we're really saying is that they act nice. I can't stress this enough. They're acting nice. Their behavior fits in with someone who is genuinely nice. Okay? To some degree, this person might genuinely be nice. But the nice guy persona is just that. It's a persona. It's a facade. It's fake. Why? Because no one is like this all the fucking time. If you're nice all the time, it's a red flag for me because it means that you're fake as fuck. Okay? You can't be nice all the time. Friction, conflict, disagreements, these are all normal parts of human relationships. All completely normal. Okay? Feelings that come with them, anger, resentment, hurt, frustration, these are all normal too. Okay? So why the hell would I believe a person to be genuine if they don't ever express the range of normal fucking human emotions? I wouldn't be surprised if people don't want to date the nice guy because they find something off about the nice guy. They can't put their finger on it, but something about them feels off. I'm going to tell you exactly what feels off. Okay? I think people have good intuitions about this kind of stuff. They just don't know, may not have the exact words. I'm going to do it for you. Okay? You're probably thinking that this person is fake as fuck. That when you talk to them, you don't feel any real connection because they're presenting you with an image of who they, of an image of who they maybe want to present themselves to be, not who they really are. They feel bland because they feel like someone who was AI generated by an amalgamation of nice guy memes or something like that. They don't feel real. And in a game of attraction, like real attraction, authenticity is key. Okay? Nothing beats authenticity. Nice guys don't feel authentic. And there's a reason they don't feel authentic because no one is nice and agreeable about every fucking thing. That's not a normal human. Okay? That's robot. That's fake shit. Okay? Here's something else about this nice guy. This nice guy tends to be non-confrontational and more generally fairly risk averse, specifically to protect themselves. That's why they're non-confrontational. That's why they're risk averse. It comes down to this inability to, be direct with people because doing so means that you put yourself out there, you put yourself at risk. Okay? Let me give you an example, right? Like, look, if you have a romantic interest, okay? And you're not able to be open about your genuine romantic interest in that person, your attraction to them, and your intentions. The fact that you can't be direct with them, why is that? My guess is you're a scared little bitch. That's what it is. You're a coward. You don't want to acknowledge, put it out there, say it out loud that you like the person because then you could officially be rejected. Whereas if you play the nice guy and then just be friends with them, and then you kind of just let things happen, then you can try to test out the waters without actually taking the risk of putting your feelings out there. I've never heard anyone describe a guy who goes up to someone they like and just say, hey, I like you and want to take you out on a date. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm talking about a nice guy here, right? I never heard anyone describe a nice guy as someone who does something like this. No, the nice guy sits back and plays the friend role, covertly gets close to someone, and tries to imply their attraction by being around to listen and help. This implicit shit is bitch shit. It's cowardly. It's the, I want to ask you out, but I'm afraid of rejection, so I won't explicitly ask you out, because doing that will mean I might actually get officially rejected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the workaround. Okay. I know this. I know that nice guys do this kind of shit because I used to do some of this shit. Okay. I told you I had a lot of bitch in me. Okay. I needed to work through this stuff. All right. This is, if you want to know like who can identify bitches really well, it's the ones that are recovering bitches, right? It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, right? The ones that are going through the 12-step program and learning not to be a bitch, right? Those are the ones who's like, I've been there. I've had to acknowledge it. You see it a little bit more clearly, right? This is not being a real nice guy, right? This is being a coward. That's what this is, right? Let's call it what it is, okay? You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me because I know exactly what you're doing. It's some bitch shit, okay? We need to call it out for what it is, okay? If you really genuinely were somebody that actually, wasn't cowardly and was able to stand on your shit, you would just be able to take that risk and to put your feelings out there and be okay and learn to deal with rejection like a normal fucking human being. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay. One more thing. This nice guy role also comes with something dark and disgusting. Okay. This is the like misogynist side of the nice guy. I'm pretty sure there's probably like feminists who have pointed this out. I am completely on board with their assessment. The nice guy is a complete bitch and a covert misogynist piece of shit asshole. Okay. And we need to call it out because I need people to see exactly what's happening and to not support this shit. Okay. Nice guys sometimes feel like they're owed something because they are nice. That's the most disgusting shit I've ever heard of in my life. Okay. Nice guys feel like they are owed something because they are nice. The underlying attitude is something like this. I am nice, so I deserve to have someone insert the name of somebody that they want to be, whatever the romantic interest is. This sense that you deserve anything because you're nice is gross, nasty shit. Okay. First off, the fact that you even think this makes me believe you're not really nice, but you're using the niceness or the act of it as a way to earn affection. Okay. A real nice person wouldn't be nice with expectations of something in return. Okay. That's like a billionaire claiming they're generous because they donate a bunch of money to charity with the expectation that they get their name plastered all over a bunch of awards and shit. Okay. You're not genuinely generous if you're giving to charity with the expectation of, recognition and acknowledgement. That's fake shit. Okay. That's fake generosity. But also the attitude that you deserve a partner because you're nice, that turns the partner, the object of your affection, into nothing more than an object. That's really all it is. You're basically saying that they can't have their own feelings and thoughts and attitudes about you, but rather they are obligated to like you for your being nice to them. What kind of manipulative bullshit is that? Love and affection isn't earned in this way, okay? It's not deserved by your working really hard. Okay. I'm sorry, but there's no way to make someone like you. Either they do or they don't. Okay. That's just not how attraction works. Here's what you can do. You can be more authentic and work on being the best version of yourself. You can put yourself out there, try to meet different people. And I'm fairly sure that if you're engaging with people with similar interests, similar backgrounds, similar values, right? You put yourself out there and you're being genuine and authentic in the circles where people are, have common interests with you. I am sure you'll find someone who likes you for who you are. Okay. Why do I believe that? I firmly believe that authenticity is attractive, right? Because authenticity leads to real, meaningful human connections, the ones that are needed to hold down real relationships. But if you don't do that, you're not going to find somebody who actually likes you. They're going to like whatever facade you put on. Okay. That's what the nice guy thing is, right? It's an act. It's a bullshit act. Okay. You're not really nice. Stop lying to other people and stop lying to yourself. You're not really nice. If you call yourself the nice guy, that's a surefire word for me to know you're a bitch. You're not a nice guy. You're a bitch. That's what you are. Okay? Stop faking it. Just be real. Be honest. Sometimes you don't like what the other person is doing. You don't need to constantly do shit in order to gain approval. That's manipulative bullshit. Okay? I am not having any of that. Look, I'm not going to mince my words. If you encourage this sort of nice guy persona, you're clearly not seeing this person for the bitch he is. Stop enabling this shit. Hit them with facts. Confront them on the real feelings that are driving themselves to present themselves as a nice guy. As I've been saying, I think there's a lot of bitches, that aren't being called out for being the bitches that they are. We use other words that mask what's going on underneath. And so boys think it's okay to be this way and just never grow up. Okay. We don't give them an example of how to discern between the bitches and the non-bitches. Okay. You know who's a prime example of this kind of nice guy persona? Look, I'm going to call it out so that we all are on the same page about this. Okay. Drake is this nice guy persona, at least in his early years. Later on, he delved into something darker, right? But I remember in his early days, right? This is back with his Take Care era, right? He acts all nice and buddy in front of people and then sneak disses them on records like the prime bitch that he is, okay? He does this with women on his albums, right? He says one thing and then he sneakily says a bunch of other shit that is insulting. Clearly, he has some feelings. No other prime example than the way that he comes at Rihanna, which I don't know what the fuck that's about. Whatever that is, that's some bitch shit is what that is, right? Look, there are many guys that look up to Drake, which I don't get, okay? I saw him for the bitch he was way back when. We're talking like over a decade ago, or like this is a long time ago. This has been a long time in the making, okay? But I never could understand how other people couldn't see that he was such a bitch. Well, I'm going to try to call it out exactly for what it is and then try to explain exactly why. He tries to act nice when he clearly is just a non-confrontational bitch that is too scared to actually say what's on his mind and actually acknowledge his own feelings towards people. Okay? No, look, we need to call this out. If you're not sure you encountered a bitch of this kind, right? I'll give you at least one blueprint for identifying them pretty easily. Ask yourself, do other people describe this guy as a nice guy? Instant bitch. See how easy that is? Doesn't take much work, right? Other people describe this person as a quote unquote nice guy. Oh, let me introduce you to this nice guy that I know. Okay. Instantly, I'm not taking that date. That's a bitch right there. Okay. You know who else is this kind of a bitch? I didn't realize it just because I didn't pay attention because I didn't like his music all that much. But Drake's little buddy, J. Cole. J. Cole might be an even bigger bitch than Drake, which honestly, like, it boggles my mind because I didn't know if that was possible. But J. Cole's an even bigger bitch. All right. Trying to play peacemaker when he clearly feels a certain way about the same people that he's trying to be all peaceful with, okay? This faux depth that he tries to present, that's some bitch ass shit, okay? Stand on what you say or don't stand on it at all, right? If you think that you're the best, stand on it. If you're going to be competitive about it, be competitive about it. Don't go back and forth. You're confusing as fuck because it seems like you don't even know who you are. You're wanting your cake and eat it too, but you're neither, and that just makes you a bitch, okay? He tries to be a friend, comes off as someone who's looking out for you, someone who doesn't want to compete with you, all the while trying to compete with you and then sneak dissing you on his records or alluding to some shit, only to, in interviews, pretend like you don't actually have an issue with them and that you're actually looking out for them. That's some bitch shit. That's some non-confrontational, nice guy bitch shit, okay? When I heard his song Port Antonio after all the battle between Drake and Kendrick, all I could think was, geez, this guy's delusional. He's trying to rewrite history to fit a narrative that makes him look better, implying that he's still great when he's the bitch that, decided to step out of the ring when push came to shove and he had to actually put his money where his mouth was. Instead of just admitting reality, that's all he has to do. All he has to do for me to think less, that he's less of a bitch, is just for him to be honest and admit reality, which is he thought he was the best, but he's not built for this shit. And so he bowed out, right? That's all you have to do. Stop acting tough on the mic. Stop talking about how you're the best. Okay. You're not built like this. You're not the best MC. Just acknowledge it. Okay. His recent, this is at the time of this podcast, right? His recent 4-pack of ass, this birthday blizzard of his freestyles, which is more of the same narrative twisting lies. I won't listen to whatever the fall off album is going to be because I'm guessing it's going to be more of the same bullshit. He needs to do some soul searching and figure out who he is and start acknowledging his own feelings about shit instead of just constantly trying to confuse himself and others, switching back and forth between like this false bravado and peacemaker, all brushed over with some faux depth. Look, J. Cole, stop being a bitch. Just admit it to yourself. You're not the best MC. You never were. There was never a big three. It was always just big one, right? It was just K dot. You're not deep or insightful, okay? Stop pretending to be, okay? Stop trying to create this image, craft this image of yourself in this way. Be okay with your place in hip hop. You're a talented second tier MC whose music is mostly mid, okay? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Your insecurities show when you try to be something that you're not. You're not fooling anyone. And the longer you're in denial, the more you come off as a bitch. All right? I'm doing this because I care for you, J. Cole. Stop being a bitch. All right? Look, I've been talking a lot about the nice guy not bringing up issues, being non-confrontational. But look, there's actually two sides to this coin, okay? If being a man involves directly addressing issues with another person, it also means that being a man means that you can hear someone who brings up issues directly with you. Okay. Remember what I said before? Like, I imagine there's a reason that people have a hard time being directly confrontational. They might not have had good experience with it. It's not an easy thing to do. But it's not an easy thing to do to bring up confrontation, but it's also not easy to hear it. Right? It's both. It's the speaker and the listener, right? If you ever done any of this couple therapy stuff where you have to learn how to have like hard conversations about stuff, right? About real feelings. I didn't realize myself just how defensive I would get until I really worked on myself through years of therapy. But after having gone through it, I see it a lot more clearly, just how often, I and other people try to, have a hard time dealing with other people coming at you with direct confrontation. And I'll admit it. There were many times where I was being a bitch about it. I was deflecting, denying, defending. I think I've talked about this already, how often I have done this, right? Look, it's hard to hear somebody bring up issues with me because we get wrapped around our own image of ourselves, okay? I'll at least share, some of what went on with me. Maybe some of it will resonate with you. This is like a pretty common thing when I was married. Suppose I forgot to fix some hole in the wall, let's say, right? There's something that I said that I was going to take care of. I said to my partner that I would fix it this week. It's now been 2 weeks. She points out, hey, you didn't fix a hole that you said you were going to fix. And my response was not, oh, shoot, you're right. I did say that and I didn't do it. I forgot. That was my mistake. I dropped the ball on it. I'll get on it right away today and I'll try to go ahead and fix it. I'm sorry for that. Okay. No. That wasn't my response. That would have been like a healthy response, right? That would be somebody who is able to hear another person bring up something that, it seems like fairly low stakes, but, oftentimes arguments start off this way, right? So, no, that wasn't my response. No, it wasn't a healthy response. My response was more like, get off my case. I've been busy. I'll get to it later. Just don't worry about it. Okay? Why was my response to get so defensive? Well, it's because I personally pride myself in being somebody reliable. I wanted to believe that people can rely on me. So if I drop the ball on something, then it means that I am not a reliable person. Like, at least that's what's going on in my head. I dropped the ball. Someone else points it out. They confront me on it. Doesn't feel good. It's now a threat to this worldview that I have, or like this view I have of myself, right? As somebody that's reliable. I see what she's saying to me as nothing more than that, as a threat. I don't hear it for whatever it is that she's expressing about her feelings, or as an acknowledgement of holding me accountable for some shit that I said I was going to do, right? I just saw it as nothing more than a threat. So what do you do when you feel threatened? You defend yourself. And that's exactly what I did. It's not me who screwed up. No, you're just being picky and demanding. You need to relax. You need to not worry about it. You need to get off my case. That's what it becomes. If we actually recorded the interaction, like if you had a video camera of the interaction, you'll probably see that my partner, knowing her, usually when she's bringing this kind of stuff up, because she gets very anxious about it because she, hasn't had a good experience with the way that I respond, probably was just saying this to me in a deadpan, matter of fact, like statement with zero emotions on her face, right? But then I probably felt threatened. That's probably what the video would show. Knowing myself better now, right? That's probably what the video would show. I'd even bet on it, right? So instead of addressing what she said, I got defensive and angry, and with all the body language that goes with it. And of course, when I respond in this way, my partner now gets defensive as well, or feels threatened, or feels attacked, or feels wronged. And then now it becomes a whole thing, becomes a bigger argument. It escalates, snowballs, yada, yada. This, like anybody who's been in like a real relationship will know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a pretty common type of fight that kind of unfolds, right? Okay. So you would understand then, if I'm responding in this way, why she might be a bit more hesitant to bring things up with me directly, right? Because look, she could be confrontational, direct, address things directly with me. But if I am not a good listener here and I'm reacting all defensively, right, then she would have reason to hesitate bringing things up with me. Does that make sense? Right. So like one of the things that I had to work on was being better about actually listening. Like if I tell you like, look, hey, I want you to confront me directly, right? I want you to tell me what's up, right? So that we could address it. I need to also make sure on my part that I am the kind of person who can actually hear out what you're saying. And that means that I'm not getting defensive. I'm not attacking you for bringing things up. You can bring up something, confront me directly, and I will actually address whatever it is that you're bringing up, all right? Without judgment, without reacting, but actually addressing the thing that you're bringing up, okay? I'm trying to point out that, look, no matter how carefully and thoughtfully someone comes to you with an issue that needs to be addressed, right? If you don't hear it well, then they will have good reason to not come to you with these issues in the future, okay? My getting defensive had nothing to do with how my partner phrased the statement or what body language she displayed. My reaction was all internal to me. It was said more about me and the way I took in the world because I didn't want to acknowledge certain things about myself, right? Until I learned to be better about acknowledging and getting a good sense of how I'm reacting and how that contributed to the snowballing arguments. This is communication 101 stuff, right? Like I needed to learn to be a better listener, right? So yeah, the speaker needs to speak clearly, directly, without some unwarranted accusations, right? Like you need to know how to confront well, but you also need to know how to hear the confrontation well. And one surefire way for you to know whether or not you're the kind of person that people feel comfortable, confronting is, do they actually confront other people, but not you? That says a lot. That means that it's not about them because they're able to confront people just fine. But for some reason, they have an issue confronting you specifically, which says there might be something about you. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it might be that there's something about the way that you're responding that makes other people hesitant to confront you directly. And look, this is a skill that you can work on. This is what's great about it, right? This is just like a basic skill set that you can work on and be better about through practice. You can start with like low stake sort of confrontations and then work your way up to more difficult conversations. I'm guessing it gets harder when there's more at stake, in which case I think those are the kind of places where it helps to do a lot of therapy and to get a better grasp of your own feelings and your trigger points and to like learn how to manage your own reactions. It takes dedication. It takes time. It takes a little know-how. It takes a little research in figuring out what the best way to do this is. But it's doable. It's a skill set you could develop like anyone else, right? Children need to learn how to do this kind of stuff, right? And adults need to model it for them. So adults work on it, right? Model it for them. Model it in your conversations with other people. Like, I mean, my kid, honestly, like, it's kind of odd, but I remember, in family gatherings, a lot of times I would just openly like confront some of the false things that my parents would say sometimes. And I was surprised because, my kid would listen in on the conversation, old enough to now to understand some of what's going on. And she just enjoys the conversation. I'm like, why do you enjoy it? Right? At least we would have these conversations afterwards. Like, I really like hearing you talk about these things, right? And it's like, why is that? Because for her, this was like a modeling of talking through disagreements, but in a way that wasn't like threatening, right? People weren't throwing stuff at each other, they weren't yelling at each other, right? Like, it was just like a normal conversation, but it was working through a kind of disagreement. For her, it was a modeling of how to resolve conflict in a way where you didn't have to go, full blown war mode. And there was a genuine, the case where there could be genuine resolutions, right? And that's what children need, because again, children aren't going to learn from nothing. They're going to learn from something, and they're going to learn primarily from observing what adults do. You need to be better about it, right? Like, that's the only way. Now, I myself am not perfect at it. I still make a lot of mistakes, right? But again, what makes you less of a bitch is not making mistakes. It's actually just learning to acknowledge when the mistakes happen and then just work to be better about it. That's it. That's it. Look, the primary point is this: conflict, disagreements, these are all normal part of human lives, normal part of relationships. Relationships aren't really real unless there's some conflict, because people being honest will inevitably lead to some areas of tension. Okay? No person is alike, except maybe twins. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, even there's probably some tension, right? Part of what makes nice guys so appealing is that, when you're nice and not in conflict with each other, it's to some degree easy. Okay. Uh, and I think that a lot of people try to take the easy way out. Conflicts aren't fun. They aren't comfortable. They never are. Right. I still get anxious when I have to confront somebody. I do it because I feel like I should, and that's a better way to go. But I don't feel good about it necessarily. And if it's more at stake, then it becomes a lot more tense and harder to do. It, causes a lot more anxiety for me. But at the same time, look, nice guys will also feel fake, because somewhere deep down inside, you're realizing that there's no way a person can be perfectly aligned with you and be in agreement with you all the time. That's just, look, they're playing a part to maintain harmony. Okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. As I've said, there's a virtue to letting some of these smaller things go. Okay. But the problem is when you're trying to just get along and that's all you do all the time, then you're not being authentic. You're being fake. And if you want a friend, why would you want to be friends with an image that this person has crafted for themselves? You want to be friends with the actual person, the real person, the good, the bad, the ugly. If you're dating something, same thing, right? Why would I want to date some social media image of a person? I want to date the real person. I would want a real relationship with real connections between two real people, something authentic, something real. Nice guys aren't that. They're not real. So stop viewing them as anything other than the bitch that they are. Please, I beg of you, call them out on it and don't encourage it. Don't go, "Oh, you're such a nice guy." Don't do that. And if you hear that, just hear it as, "Oh, you're a bitch," and respond accordingly, right? Work on yourself. Don't be a nice guy, fake piece of shit. Don't be that person. Be better. You can do it. You can do it, but you're going to have to first acknowledge that.